is Paintball 464, and here we are with the tank show. We're going to be talking about carbon fiber tanks, steel HPA tanks, this is HPA, and CO2 tanks. Covering all the bases. These are all my tanks. I've bought them all with my own money. Anyone asks. So let's begin with let's just begin. So let's start off with what almost everyone starts with. I started with it. Almost everyone I've known started with it. They've always have started with CO2. So let's talk about what is CO2. CO2 in its normal state is a liquid. CO2 is a liquid. So yeah, it's a liquid. About that much is covered with liquid, and it just goes out through this. Everything goes in through here and out through there. With these tanks, everything goes out through here, in through here. So in through here, out through here. So if like my fingers, the air goes in, goes down, it's a tank. And now my finger comes out into my gun, fires. Yeah. So that's the difference between the regulators. This isn't a regulator, but this isn't. This is really just saying to have the CO2 go through and I'll burst this. So if there's too much, it's a 3,000 psi versus this is a 1,800 and a 5,000. So yeah, big thing about CO2 versus compressed air. CO2 may be cheaper, but compressed air I can get more shots off of, and I won't be spending the money in O-rings or fills. I can always know when I'm about to run out of air with this gauge. Every HPA tank will always have a gauge. Yeah. These will never have a gauge. You can never track how much pressure is in here because pressure changes on the amount of temperature. This is a 12-ounce CO2 tank, but everything changes the amount of pressure you have. So, yeah. So, I have a CO2 versus compressed air show up. So, if you guys watch that, it was a little bit more in depth that. But this show is more about. So we got CO2. It's empty. And I can't press the thing down. But CO2. It's an empty tank. Am I done? Oh, and one more thing. I know I'm out of the camera angle, but one more thing. CO2. You can only use on these very basic guns. You cannot use CO2 on if you use CO2 on an electronic gun, you'll probably destroy your board. You don't want to destroy your board on, let's say, spend $250 or a $500 gun. You cannot use CO2. So, yeah, CO2's crap. Don't buy it. But, we're gonna, skip over CO2. I've already talked about it. Just don't buy it. Yeah, don't buy it. Just gotta throw up, but no. This is more about why you should buy a carbon fiber tank over a steel tank. Let's first talk about prices. $100 more, $150, $50. But back to our whole tank show, we have $25, $50, $150, $75 for these two, $150 for this one. Well, I could save $75 by not buying these two, just buying this one. That's why you should just go straight to carbon fiber. It said 50-45. I use this tank because I'm 5'8", 120 pounds. I'm skinny. I guess I am skinny. Sorry, everyone. There we go. There we go. Okay, look at that. That's a tight setup right there. If I have to say to myself, that is a tight setup. Because with this tank, I kept putting it up on top of my shoulder. But I'm not that strong. See, these burning arms. Not that strong. This tank's light. I got a lot of maneuverability. I think it's very balanced. It still has weight in the back, but once it evens out to about right there. Evens about because it's right there right now. Because I'm holding it back here, but this is the balance point, but it's about right there with a full hopper. So I really like it. I think it works. It works great. I love it. It's a very tight setup. I'm not putting it up on top of my shoulder and trying to do this. I got a good tight setup. I know some people say it should be zero. This one's a perfect size for me, a little bit long, but I just like the weight of this. I love the tight setup. Just love, yeah, I just love it. But snap shooting got so much control. That's one of my favorite things. So that's why. That's a big reason, because this is more cubic inches than this. I'm gonna actually tell you guys why. Sorry, guys. Why this is more cubic inches than this. Let's take this off my gun. Sorry, guys. Yeah, if you guys saw why I was firing, because when you're taking off a tank, you should fire and it just starts releasing the pressure, and it saves and when it's purging. But with these, why this is more cubic inches? This is a 5045. This is a 48 3000. With the PSIs, but let's stick with cubic inches and why this has more. This is more volume inside the tank to hold more air. This has less volume to hold less air. Do you know why? Because there is about, I don't know how much it is, but I think it's maybe an inch of steel. Inch of steel. That's a lot of steel. It might not be an inch, but it's a lot of steel that's inside this tank inside this tank to hold in just 3,000 psi. This holds 4,500 psi, higher cubic inches, smaller tank, and it's so much better because there's so much steel in this because it has to hold that under that pressure. So when you guys see, when my dad and I scrapped 2 scuba tanks, there's a lot of steel inside that scuba tank, and that's a big inside the scuba tank that which you guys see on how to fill HBA tank with a scuba air filter, which you guys see. Well, when I fill that, that's the scuba tank I'm talking about. That is a lot of steel. Think of that much steel in this small of a tank. That's taking up a lot of cubic inches. With this, the Ninja, these both tanks are Ninjas. Rigs are amazing. Never go bad. Very, very good to work with. Just buy a Ninja. Just buy a Ninja. I'm just gonna say that flat out. I don't like the Gorilla tanks because usually I've seen people and they've had problems. It's not with the regulator, but it's more that it's such a small of a regulator that the gauge and the fill nipple start hitting up on, and they can't screw it in, so they have to buy a tank extender, which they could just bought this. I personally think, a better rig for them, and it's just going to be so much easier. Easy user servable. These are both regular, and they're all adjustable. All Ninja rigs will always be adjustable. So, that's it. It deals with shims, so there's, I think 4 shims in this, and releases 850 psi. We take out all shims, it's 450, 1 shim, 650, and it's just on and on. So, yeah. Let's talk about, so this costs more, but it's carbon fiber. And carbon fiber there's a process that you have to go through to shape it into this type of shape, and that's a hard shape. It's a funny shape to shape all of this carbon fiber, and there's that much carbon fiber. And Ninja uses a little bit more just for safety, and your tank won't go under the pressure. Yeah, and let's get on to PSI. Why 4,500 over 3,000. Well, you guys see, there's more. With 4,500 psi, I get, with 4,500 psi, I also get, it's 4,500 psi. So if 50 times 45, that's how much psi, so that's how many pounds per square inch, so 3,000 psi, so that's how many pounds of pressure, how many pounds of pressure I have in the whole tank, and it's how much pressure, and there's more than this. A lot more. You take half of that, so you gotta take half the pressure from this, so 1,500 psi, put in this, and then you'll get to equal. That's a lot. Half of this tank takes 1.5 of these tanks to equal the amount of pressure that's inside. So it takes 3.5 of the pressure in these tanks to equal how much pressure is in this tank. So this is why you should buy carbon fiber over steel tanks. This one's always cold, this one's always moist, but I really don't care. It was a weird getting used to, but I got used to it very fast, and I think it's perfect. So, yeah. So let's conclude this show. Okay, hello everyone, this is Paintball 464, and here we are weighing the tanks. Here's the Ninja 43,000. 43,000. Wait. Oops. So you guys trust me. I hope you guys see that. It's zeroed out. Let's go put it on. It's on. 3 pounds, 1 pound and 5/8. And it has 1,000 psi in it. Does have 1,000 psi in it. Okay, so now let's weigh Ninja Paintball. Here we go. I know. I just said 2 pounds, 7 ounces, 3/8. And this tank has 2,000 psi. 2,000 psi in this tank. And yeah, if I did the math, then it'd be later, but yeah. So there you go.